Trib Live Radio presents Gladiators of the Cage, online at GOTC MMA.com and on Twitter at Gladiator MMA 412. It's time to get all the inside info on the Pittsburgh MMA scene right now, right here, only on Trib Live Radio.
What's happening, everybody out there in Trib Live Radio Radioland? We got YouTube Video Land, and of course, we got Periscope over in the corner there. Morgan filming Periscope. It is the Gladiators of the Cage MMA half hour. Myself, Justin Labar, alongside one of the execs. I can call you an exec.
You could do that.
I'll call you an exec.
You can throw it out
one
there.
Of the execs from Gladiators of the Cage MMA, Scott Benton. We are down one today.
Yeah, where did he go?
Tag team. Is he under the desk?
Where'd my vertically challenged friend go today?
Vertically challenged.
Where's he at? Where's my Catanian crew?
Where is he?
You know what? He was.
Where's Robert?
Yeah, he got into a little fender bender over the weekend, and he's going to be down and out for a little bit. So he's over at AGH, not too far from here, and I'm sure he's going to be listening in. But
you know what I picture? You ever watch the movie Major League 2?
Yeah,
I picture him like Lou Brown in the hospital room listening in. He's like jumping on the bed when Serrano hits a home run.
I could definitely see it. It's killing him not to be here. So I'm trying to figure out a way we can call him and without him knowing it's also. Maybe we'll call the nurse's station and tell him to go over.
If he's listening, I'm pretty sure he's gonna be suspicious of any phone call.
Yeah, it's kind of rough being here without him. So it's kind of we'll have to wing it a little bit.
Obviously, it's a good thing that he's gonna be okay and everybody's gonna be okay that was involved. But it's also good that it's now and not like the week of the show that you guys just had.
Good point.
That would have been
good point.
Look at a positive here.
Absolutely.
But let's talk coming up this weekend, September 5th. It is UFC 191 at the MGM Grand out in Sin City in Vegas, and quite the card here. As I'm looking, especially I'm just looking, Frank Mir on the card, looking at obviously Anthony Johnson, who was discussed recently. Just looking at some of the records here. What stands out to you in this fight on this card?
They all sort of stand out, but obviously being a single guy, my first thing goes to the Paige Van Zandt obviously fight. She's
21 years old, huh?
Absolutely. She's going off a 36-year-old Alex Chambers. She's 5-2, 1-1 in UFC, and that's including her tough. So yeah, they're gonna be banging it out.
Paige Van Zandt.
You got.
I will.
You got to look up Paige Van Zandt.
I will.
If you don't know who that is, shame on you.
I don't. Well,
we're gonna have to kick you off the show.
I heard you can do a one-man show today. I heard Van Zandt. I literally think just Leonard Skinner. I think of the Van Zandt.
Obviously, fellas, sorry she's taken. She's dating 7-0, 2-0 in UFC. Cody Garbrandt from Team Alpha Male. So you could take that off your bucket list of girls to talk to because she's taken, and he will whoop your ass.
You're assuming such. You're assuming.
I'm assuming from.
Don't assume.
Come on, you're not a single guy here.
Don't assume here. Paige Van Zandt. I see Frank Mir on the card as well, and Frank Mir obviously a legend in the UFC.
Absolutely, he's 18-9,
yeah,
just in total, and 16-9 in UFC as a whole. I mean, he's a legend. He's been in UFC, if I'm not mistaken, since 08-ish.
Yeah, that sounds. Yeah, well, I figure I know he fought Lesnar. Wasn't that Lesnar's first fight? Was Frank Mir or one of them? I thought it was Frank Mir.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
I'm trying to remember
years.
All the fights.
Well, speaking of UFC too, obviously those are some of the names on the UFC 191. Ronda Rousey, who is obviously the box office draw right now.
You can't have a show without mentioning her.
I got to talk about Ronda Rousey. I'm not going to not mention her.
Ronda Rousey.
So they announced like 2 weeks ago that she's going to have her next fight. It was originally going to be, I believe, in February was the original set date.
It was supposed to be a later set date.
Yeah.
For some reason, they're moving it up. I missed the.
So yeah, they're moving it up. Her next fight against Holly Holm has been moved up to November 15th in Melbourne, Australia. It was actually, she was originally going to do the fight on January 2nd in Vegas, but a thumb injury to welterweight champion Robbie Lawler has changed UFC schedule, so I guess to balance fights out.
A thumb injury.
Yes, a thumb injury.
Man,
from you go tell Robbie Lawler
Throw
that.
some tape on it.
You go tell Robbie Lawler that. So that's good news, though. So we have less time to wait. Rousey fighting on November 15th in Melbourne, Australia. If I remember right, that Holly Holm, I think she's also undefeated. Or she had a pretty damn good record, too. And
she was 11-0, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know her stats.
9-0.
Is it 9-0?
9-0 is Holm.
Okay.
From New Mexico. So hopefully another good. I know I heard Rousey praise saying this is a worthy opponent, and she's excited for.
I mean, I think that's one of the best opponents out there for Rousey. I mean, I don't think anybody else is willing to step up and get slaughtered by her yet. But I think Holm is going to give her definitely a run for her money.
Well, I still say WWE needs to book it. No state commission is going to do it. WWE's not regulated by the state commission. They want to break the indoor attendance record at next year's WrestleMania. Money Mayweather in the corner over there with Triple H, because Triple H and Money Mayweather are boys, up against The Rock and Ronda Rousey. That's got money written all over it. You're listening to the Gladiators of the Cage MMA half hour here on TribLive Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and then we come back. It'll be more chaos and MMA talk. Don't miss it. Welcome back. Justin Labar alongside with Scott Benton, one of the execs and powers to be at Gladiators of the Cage MMA. If you have not checked out one of their shows, you are missing out. This is a great regionally based promotion, a great feeder system, I should say, for fighters going into the UFC in the future. They just had a great fight a week ago from Saturday.
August 22nd.
August 22nd in Cheswick, Pennsylvania. It went off really well, highly acclaimed. You can check check video out of the fight actually on their website, GOTC MMA. Every single week here on TribLive Radio at 3 to 3:30, we got these guys. Usually it's both Scott and Robert, but Robert is playing hooky today.
Slacker. I know you're listening, Robert. You slacker.
So just Scott and I, but we figured we needed a third. We needed to round out a trio. So we got a great co-host joining us today. He is the Pride of Bloomfield, one of the great prideful neighborhoods in the Pittsburgh community. And he is going to be on the next card for Gladiators of the Cage.
That's what we're shooting for.
He is Mark Cherico. Mark, you there?
Yes, I am. How you doing?
Good, Mark. Thanks for taking time and co-hosting with us here this half hour.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Well, Mark, we're going to talk about a bunch of different topics over the next 20 minutes, so chime in where you want. But I want to give people a little bit of background on you if they aren't familiar. 17-1 overall record, 8-1 as a pro. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
What's so? Give me the secret. What's been the strength? What do fighters need to watch out for when they step in the cage with you?
I think I improve every fight. I try to find my holes in my game from the fight prior and fix them and get better where I'm strong at, so that when I get in there and they're expecting one version of me, they get a different version.
Now, Mark, this kind of goes into one of the things we want to talk about. Talk to me about starting out to be an MMA fighter. Everybody can feel tough on a good day. Everybody might have gotten in their schoolyard scrap in school, or may have gotten in a bar fight or what have you. But what does it take when you say, okay, I'm actually going to legit, step into a cage and fight another trained fighter and try to do this for money? How did you break into the business?
You got to find a legit coach. I found a really good coach in Donnie Caker when I had made the decision I wanted to start training to actually fight. And I trained for about a year almost before I even took a fight. So I would say that's the first step. You can't just jump in there. You see a lot of guys, like, you go up to Ohio, like those Yankee Lake shows, like, don't let anybody fight. There's a sign that says, if you want to fight, call the promoter. It's kind of crazy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everybody wants to be a fighter. But you got to put in the work. You got to really train.
Do you recall how much training time did you do before you had your first amateur fight?
We trained. I first started, it was just 2 days a week, like 2.5-hour days, and then within a couple months, we were doing 4 days a week. And then within 6 months, I was probably training 6 or 7 days a week.
Wow.
That's a lot of
training. Not that you need that much. Right now, I run the Fight Club Pittsburgh, the fight team, and for our amateurs, I tell them they need to be at least 3 fight team practices and at least 2 group classes. So, you could bang that out in 3 days, 4 days. So as long as you give me 4 days, I'm happy.
Yeah, definitely takes a bit of commitment. But with that commitment, though, it doesn't, the commitment doesn't come free. What kind of, especially because I get this from the limited bit of time I got to be around MMA and work with it. I always get the question from innocent bystanders of, what's it cost? What kind of investment is it to step in and start training? Everything from equipment to paying coaches. What kind of investment?
That is an investment. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, it is. You want to get good equipment right off the bat. We have loaner equipment at the gym. We don't want anybody to have to buy equipment and then they're going to end up quitting a week later. So we have loaner equipment. That way, if they get comfortable, they know this is something they want to do, then they can go and invest. And we sell packages at the gym, wholesale cost. So you can get, at our gym, per se, you can get 2 T-shirts, a pair of fight shorts, MMA gloves, shin pads, and boxing gloves for, I think it's $165.
Okay.
That's not too bad.
Oh.
No, that's all at our wholesale account. So, we're not making really any money off it. It's just to kind of get everybody started. And then from there, you kind of find brands that you like. Now as a professional, we're paying, I pay $200 for just a pair of gloves that I'm going to hit pads with, and then another $200 for a pair of gloves to spar with. But, you got to invest in yourself. So as you're getting further up the ladder, you want to only use the best stuff.
Now, I'm sure there's a business side of things here in terms of budgeting. You know, when as you get pro and you start winning fights, I'm guessing there's obviously a breakdown. I don't know if it's up to the fighter or if you have trusted management of what money goes back into somebody's pocket, into the fighter's pocket, into trainers, and then back into equipment. I mean, how does how does that work? Without getting too personal on your finances, how does that work for you specifically?
Yeah, so I mean, I have a manager, Charles McCarthy, and we work on a contract, and based off that, I give him a percentage. Usually my boxing coach, I work out a per private basis with him. And he comes in already contracted through the Fight Club to work with us. It's Bob Meese, Cody Garbrandt's uncle. So he comes in already and gets paid to come in and work with us. But when I get in camp, I want to work more one-on-one, like just sessions, just me and him. So we work out a number, whatever I'm making for the camp. And then at the end of camp, however many sessions we did, we figured out, and I pay him. And it's kind of the same with my jiu-jitsu coach. I don't pay him monthly or anything, but when a fight comes up, I just pay him a percentage of my purse.
Talking to Mark Cherico, you can follow him on Twitter at Mark Cherico MMA, 17-1 professional fighter. And Mark, I'm looking at your Twitter bio. I love this.
He's creeping.
I'm looking at the Twitter.
He's creeping.
I'm looking at the Twitter bio, and I love this. Part-time competitive eater. #Yinzer Scrap Pack.
Yeah, man. There's also the Black Italian Mafia.
Well, give me the Yinzer Scrap Pack. What is that all about?
It's just a little group of us Pittsburghers, like myself, Carmen Worthy, Mike Wilkins, Andy Anderson. He's not really from Pittsburgh. He's a kid from Buffalo. So we kind of feel bad he's from Buffalo, so we've adopted him into the group. And then, we got to select other few, like Dave Gabig and Don Mazzata, guys like that are kind of part of the Yinzer Scrap Pack. It's just a group of us guys that try to train together, help each other get better for our fights.
Is there initiation for that? Is there any special kind of, what do you got to do to get in there?
Pay your dues.
Yeah, that's right.
You got to at least say Yins once without thinking about it. I say Yins all the time. It's just ingrained in my DNA. Guys like Wilkins, they're from like Monroeville and stuff. They kind of say you all, which I don't understand. But so the first time they say Yins, even if it's on accident, they're initiated into the group.
Very cool. Well, Mark, we're going to keep moving on here. We got a bunch of different topics, so we're going to talk about. Scott, you had some topics you wanted to bring up yourself here.
Yeah, we wanted to talk about a little bit about the unsanctioned fights, the AKA the smokers versus the sanctioned fights, to give some people a little more insight on what's the difference between those, and what's happening with a lot of those. What's the difference essentially?
Yeah, well, I guess this is for you and for Mark to define. Sure. Define to people, what a sanctioned fight means. Like, what is that?
Mark, you want to break down what a little bit of a sanctioned fight is?
Yeah, okay, so you can go to like Indian reservations and fight, and they're unsanctioned because they don't require doctors, they don't require a commission to sanction the bouts, so they don't go against your record. But they're also not the most safest thing. You also see some guys they'll fight exclusively in Indian reservations, and they'll pad their pro record by fighting guys that are like 0-23, and they'll get to the UFC. There was actually that guy who got to the UFC a couple months ago, and he got destroyed. He bit the guy. I don't even know if you remember. I can't remember the guy's name. But he was like 11-0, and the only guy he had fought was close to a winning record was like 11-15. He had fought him like 3 times.
Oh, good God!
So it's just it's kind of crazy. Now I'm not against smokers per se. Like our gym will sometimes have kickboxing smokers. It's just a way to get guys that want to see if they maybe want to compete. You put on headgear, boxing gloves, shin pads, and you let them basically spar somebody from a different gym with a big crowd around them, and that way they get the feel for what it's like to have a fight. That's fine. But when these guys are going out there and doing mixed martial arts fights with 4-ounce gloves and no sanctioning body there, it's just not safe.
Not to mention blood. Like, I don't even want to get,
No, what's... I can't imagine just having some stranger's blood saying, hey, yeah, what do you have?
You know what, though? When we fought as amateurs in Ohio, we didn't start having to get blood tested till probably like 2 years into my amateur career. We fought without blood work.
I'm surprised that
yeah, I mean, we never really even thought about it until after, like when they finally made us start getting blood work. I'm like, yes, it's probably a good idea. Probably should have did that 2 years ago, but fuck it, I mean, better late than never.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, what do the fighters actually have to get when they're doing blood work? When you're referring to it, what are they getting done?
They call it the combative trio. If you go through like request a test, and it's Hep B, what else?
BC.
Yeah,
antigens, skin antigens and such.
And then, your HIV antigen. I think that's it. I think that's all 3.
Now, what else, I mean, as far as the pro side of things, or maybe even amateurs, what are they requiring that these guys get nowadays? I know obviously the MRIs and so on and so forth, but what else?
Yeah, I think like certain age numbers, you have to get MRIs, and some states, like I know Common, where they just fought right out, and he had to get a CAT scan and stuff before the fight. Right now, for pros and PA, they make us, we got to get our physical, I think every 6 months, blood work every 6 months, and then I think an eye exam once a year. I think that's new too, because I hadn't had to get that before, and it's through it's an ophthalmologist. You have to go see an ophthalmologist.
I can never say that. It's like an ophthalmologic exam.
Yeah, there's like two. They're very similar, because when I made the original appointment, apparently it was the wrong doctor's office, and thankfully they called me when I emailed them the form to tell me that I needed to call a separate doctor.
Well, Scott, what's it like for you guys, you and Robert, on the promoting side of things? Obviously, you guys, do sanctioned fights. You guys do everything the way it needs to be done.
Absolutely.
By the book. How do you guys? What kind of undertaking is it for you guys to have all this stuff prepared and ready to go in terms of ambulance on site and doctors and commission? And...
Well, the fighter's safety is first before anything when they're getting into the ring, and obviously our fans, because we're an all ages show. But I mean, every single show, that's what makes the difference between unsanctioned and sanctioned fights. I mean, with the sanctioned fight side of things, I mean, we have paramedics, we have the ambulance actually on site, we have a medical doctor to oversee, if the medics or the doctor, instantaneously treats the fighter themselves in the ring. I mean, that's huge. To have licensed corner workers, you can't just walk right into the ring and say, hey, I want to judge my buddy's fight. You have to be licensed through the PA Athletic Commission. Same thing with the fighters as well.
See, I never knew the corner people had to be licensed. I never knew that.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't just have the average Joe just walk in there and be like, hey, I'm going to coach my boy.
Right. Well, it makes sense. But again, I guess it goes back to what Mark was saying about like some of the places in Ohio. You got some big hoss that just decides he's going to go fight, and he grabs Bubba off the bar and says, Bubba, you're going to come coach me. Tell me how to win here.
And that happens.
Hey, true story. In Ohio, I seen two super heavyweights fight, and the one guy was in mount on top, pounding on the guy the whole round, and the round ended, and he tapped out, and he was on top the whole round, and he was tired. I actually have it on video. I fought for the, I think the title that night. That was like the opening fight.
Mark, you got to post that on YouTube if you have not already. That'll be.
I will look for it. I'm pretty sure I have the whole card. I will post it.
That's the kind of thing like Deadspin or somebody would pick up just from just pure hilarity. This guy gets tired on top.
How do you tap out? You're too tired to tap out, so you just want to take the beating.
They went to the corner, and then the ref came over to tell him the round was starting, and he waved it off.
How do you feel like that? I mean, as far as these, even if it is a sanctioned fight, and they're just putting in the average whoever off the streets. I mean, you think it's creating a bad name for MMA? It's holding back a lot of things, and people's poor respect. Yeah, it's kind of why
people kind of make jokes about certain promotions that do that kind of stuff, and then when we end up using those fights, like you use those promotions for like your guy, you got a good guy, you think he's coming up, and you're like, we're gonna get him his first fight. You send him up there to get, because he's gonna get not a tough fight, just somebody that's gonna go out there and throw some wild punches at him, and just let him get a feel for what it's like to be out there. And you can see how he reacts to a crowd and how he reacts to adversity with somebody in his face. And, it's kind of safe because he's probably going to smash the guy in a couple of minutes.
Well, Mark, what does the future hold for you? Obviously, you have, you're Pride of Bloomfield, so you're local guys. So the Pittsburgh audience, I know, would love to see you succeed. You got a hell of a record to tout. What does the future hold for you as a fighter here?
Hopefully a couple more wins and maybe a call up to the UFC. That'd be ideal. I'd like to end my year with a call up. That'd be good. How does that?
Now that's another interesting thing. Again, because MMA is not as the process of MMA is not as public. Most people know how it works. You play football in high school, you go to college, you get drafted by the NFL. You same thing with all the other major sports, because your average Joe living in the suburbs can do those said sports, but very few people are MMA fighters. How does it work coming up through and working, for regional promotions such as Gladiators of the Cage and getting noticed by, the UFCs or the Bellators? How does that process work? I mean, do you have an agent that's helping shop you?
Yeah, a lot of it is your management doing a good job at, like, staying in the ear. Like, for us, it's Sean Shelby in the UFC because he's 45 and below. And, just trying to stay in his ear and checking every week, hey, if anybody got hurt, I got this guy, I got more Cherico, he's a 45er, he's 8-1, 6 finishes. Yada, yada, yada. If you need him, he's ready. Stuff like that. I had a couple last year, twice, 2 fights, like close call for Dennis Siver and another one for, I think it was Mitch Gagnon. And both ended up falling through, and then I suffered that loss. So it's kind of just good. I got to get a couple more wins back, and once I get it on a win streak again, that'll be it'll just be a matter of time. Just got to bide your time. Really, it's almost waiting for an injury. As fucked up as that time, you're just waiting for someone to fall off a card so you can jump in on short notice. So you just got to stay ready.
Get your foot in the door.
Yeah.
After that, then you can take you just got to go in there and win, and the rest will take care of itself.
Talking to Mark Cherico, MMA fighter. You can follow him on Twitter at Mark Cherico MMA. Mark's going to be on the next Gladiators of the Cage card in October, which we'll get to that, plug in that in a second. I want to play off real quick because you're just talking about UFC, Mark. Is there any fighters in the UFC that you enjoy watching, or maybe look up to, and or would have a desire to fight and find out if you can take them?
I don't really look up to anybody at this point now. Maybe like as an amateur, when you kind of look at them as like they're better than you, and now as a professional, like they have what you want, and so I don't really idolize anybody. But I'd like to fight anybody at 145, hell, maybe even 135. I'll go to 55. I fucking told my manager I'd fight at heavyweight if that's what it took to get me to the UFC. But there's a lot of guys I enjoy watching. I enjoy watching Dustin Poirier. I followed his career since the movie Fightville, so I always like watching him fight. I'm a big fan of Frank Mir and Andre Arlovski, so it's going to be kind of hard to watch those two guys fight on Saturday. But I'm a fan of both of them. I respect any martial artist. I can usually enjoy any fight. Hell, I even find Ben Askren's fights enjoyable.
Well, Mark, I'll leave this to you and Scott. Scott, you should probably leave it off here. We got the October Gladiators of the Cage show coming. Obviously, again, we can't say enough. If somebody's been to a show, they're probably coming back because they know it was a good time.
Oh, absolutely.
And if they haven't been, they need to check one out. Talking about the October's card and talking to me about Mark is going to be fighting. Yeah,
we just started working on the October card. Obviously, Mark, shared some interest in getting on the card, so we're going to say absolutely. He's a valuable fighter. He has a huge following in the Pittsburgh area.
Is it in Cheswick again?
Yeah, it'll be at Serious Shriners October 24th in Cheswick, which is literally, 10, 15 minutes outside of Pittsburgh. It's a great venue. There's not a bad seat in that whole house. You're literally just a few feet away from the cage where you could poke somebody's eye out, but don't be poking people's eyes out.
Now, has it been announced publicly yet who Mark is fighting? You guys still work on that?
That's what we were working on it because of my vertically challenged friend getting into that accident. It sort of put things back a couple days, but we have a couple things we're going to shoot over to his management to let them look over it and see if what's going to be a good fit, because a lot of other promotions will just throw people in there, but obviously we want to match them up, watch some more videos on things, and make sure they're right for each other.
Good stuff. Well, Mark, we're coming towards the end here. We're going to let you go. I want to thank you again for your time, and give out any final plug in terms of social media or YouTube or anywhere people can find you and support you.
Yeah, you can find me mostly. I'm trying to get rid of my Facebook, but I have a fan page on there. It's just Mark Cherico. And then you can find me on Twitter at Mark Cherico MMA, and on Instagram it's at Cherico MMA.
Awesome. Well, Mark, thanks again for your time. Great stuff, great insight, and we look forward to definitely seeing you October 24th. All
right, thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks, Mark.
So that was Mark Cherico, good guy, well-spoken guy, determined fighter. You can tell he will fight heavyweight if he has to.
See, it's frustrating. He has the following, he has the personality, he has the skill set. Like I mentioned, he has experience and everything else. What's taking him so long to pick this guy up?
I don't know.
Let's call him. Let's call Dana White. You got his number?
But I think. Well, I know. I'm not calling Dana. I'm trying to get this Paige Van Zant's number first. And tell her to tell Mr. Alpha Male to step aside. Gladiators of the Cage every half hour, every 3 to 3:30 half hour on Tuesday. Again, normally Robert also with us. We wish him well as he is recovering. He'll be back with us next week, I'm sure. Scott Benton, who again you handle all the social media too. You're kind of
I handle everything.
You handle everything.
I handle everything.
Robert's just around to make jokes.
I just keep him around. I get a tax write-off for keeping Robert around.
Robert's security with a fast car.
That's true. No, Robert's passion for this keeps me going. Yeah. It's unbelievable. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here still doing this, because you get frustrated with the fighters. You want to choke them and drag them down the street. They frustrate you sometimes. But obviously, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't still be doing this. So. Well, better soon.
GOTC MMA.com. You can check out more, again, especially their August 22nd card, which had some phenomenal fights. Especially check out the Mike Wilkins versus Rob Hanna main event. Highly acclaimed. Again, you can follow these guys on Twitter as well, at GOTC MMA, I do believe. Actually, I'm sorry, at Gladiator MMA 412. Sorry, I got my Twitter handles wrong.
Jeez.
At Gladiator MMA 412. You can follow them on Twitter. Like them on Facebook. Watch the videos. Subscribe to YouTube. All that good stuff. When are you bringing some girls back? Next week I want to bring a ring girl back in here.
Paige Van Zandt. There you go. We'll bring her after a win.
Hang on, my phone's ringing.